It's very important that when you're getting rid of pains in your lower body, that you don't just stop all activity. So this is your foundation of elasticity work when you're getting rid of pains. I want you to think in terms of percentages. So if I think in terms of 10%, most people, even when they're in pain, can do a 10% backwards run. By doing this, we're stimulating our ankles, our Achilles tendons, our shins, and our patellar tendons. We're stimulating these tendons, but with a gentle force. So that's 10%. Okay? Now my rest period is going to be walking back. I'm going to do all 10 sets. We're going 10 sets, and we want to think in terms of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. However, if you hit a certain point that increases pain, then you would stay at the level below that. So now, 20%. So what makes something elasticity is force coming down and trying to reverse that force. That's what makes something elastic. This is the lowest form of elasticity because we're getting momentum going backwards. So we're pushing, instead of going forwards, things like bounding, which are more intense, okay, we're going backwards. So we're actually working the very mechanisms that protect us when we land. And these percentages, they're really just a mental thing. The truth is, you may really be at 70% when you think you're at 30%. The whole idea is just to do 10 sets and gradually ramp up. Maybe it's really 50%, 55%, 60%, 65%. The point is to do 10 sets of about 30 meters, gradually ramping up and never working through pain, trying to put more and more force without pain. So I'm on my 40% now. So you can see when my foot hits the floor, push, 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 push. I'm not spending time on the ground. I'm intentionally spending as little time as I can on the ground. Again, to define elasticity, it's how fast and how forceful you can return energy once it goes down. So that was my 40%. I'm gonna do all of them here. That rest is really important because these muscles, your calves, your quads, there's a lot of fast twitch fibers in there. And if you just do one continuous bout without any stopping, you might not be able to really get into it well. So that little break gives just enough. Now I want you to think about a concept. I want you to think about a concept of two athletes, okay? They're both running forwards. The one who can run faster backwards is going to be more protected when they go to slow down. The mechanisms that make us stop are just the eccentric of what makes us go backwards. Very often at ATG, I'll belt up to a sled that's the exact appropriate weight of another athlete. Doesn't matter if this athlete has even more power than me. If the athlete doesn't have as much strength to go backwards, I can beat them in a backward sled drag. And invariably, these are the athletes who have pains. So the better we can go backwards, the better we can handle our own force when we go forwards. The better athlete backwards is the more protected athlete in sports. Of course, we want to go forward as fast as we can, but we're actually training our brakes. Somewhere up in that 80% area now. So now what's really cool about going backwards is the harder I try without pain, the more protected I get. So the very work I'm doing, my body will adapt to get even stronger and healthier muscles and tendons. So let's say this is 90%. And then I'll do one more. And again, if you're in pain, even if it's very light, you're putting in the work, you're giving a stimulus that your body will adapt from. You're only doing this twice a week, you're not doing this daily. Because the tendons take longer to recover, it's harder to get blood to the tendons. All right. So, that is how you go backwards. Really the end goal of going backwards for your health is just that you can go backwards as hard as you can without pain. If pushing yourself backwards causes pain, that means you're in trouble when you actually go forwards and try to jump. So, as hard as you can without pain, that's the end goal.